Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook's virtual service. Thank you to Dan Weymouth for that wonderful music to begin our service this morning. My name is Mike Hoffman, and I am honored to be serving as your worship associate, along with our service leader, Dr. Cheryl Kurash. Cheryl is a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher, a yoga teacher, and a psychologist. She has been studying, practicing, and teaching mindfulness meditation for the past 35 years for students, staff, and faculty at Stony Brook University and in the community at the Avalon Nature Preserve. Her interest is in the ways these disciplines intersect, diverge, and inform each other, and deepens her understanding of mind-body-spirit integration, and also guides her teachings. Our minister, Margie Allen, is off today, but she will be part of the service next week, which will be a shared one with the South Nassau UU congregation in Freeport. Deb Little is our Director of Religious Education. The children's worship time is just prior to this service each Sunday. I want to offer a special welcome to any of you who are joining us for the first time this morning. We welcome people of all backgrounds, all identities, and all abilities, and we are glad you have found us. Our services vary a great deal from week to week, so we hope you return several times to get a true understanding of who we are as a community of faith. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religion with no creed everyone must accept in order to belong. Instead, we are united by our 7 principles and guided by multiple sources of wisdom, all of which are described on our website at UUFSB.org. Please plan to stay with us following the service for our virtual social time, which usually lasts about 15 minutes, and then for our small group chats. There, you can meet with a few others who can give you more information and answer any questions you may have. There's a lot happening at our building, there's a lot happening even though our building is closed due to the pandemic. So check our website to see the events calendar and join our mailing list. We look forward to meeting you in person when it is safe for us to gather again. Friends, after 10 months, we are still in the throes of a global pandemic with over 350,000 lives lost in our country and millions of people infected. However, there is reason for hope. With millions of doses of vaccines already administered or on their way. We have also come through a very contentious election season, particularly as we've seen this past week. However, we have hope for greater civility and recognition of a common good. What better time than now to explore the concept of patience in our approach to the world around us, both physical and social. I know that you will leave today's service both enlightened and inspired. As we begin our service this morning, the sound of the bell gathers our spirits from near and far, calling us to worship together. If you have a chalice or a candle where you are, please join me as I light this chalice with words by the Reverend Dr. David Breeden. In this holiday season, may we find the patience to forgive ourselves, to forgive those who do not do as we wish, May we find patience. May we find the wisdom to let be.
Our opening words are from Kathleen McTeague. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment in the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes, this virtual house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together.
For our first hymn today, we will hear Bethany play hymn number 83, Winds Be Still, by Samuel Stepien Wesley and Richard Kimball. The words will be shown on the screen. Please feel free to sing along.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm let all find tranquility. Bird, fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view. Help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shining, illuminate our distant view. Help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new songs that become full symphony.
My apologies. That was Dee Dee Cook and Peter Winkler singing, and Peter playing piano. So as we enter our time of meditation this morning, we begin in words with a quote by Rainer Maria Rilke. We will then have a minute of silence, during which I share one of my photos from December 2019. Finally, we come out of the quiet with hymn number 352, Find a Stillness. These words by Rilke. I beg you to have patience with everything unresolved in your heart and to try to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers, which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer.
Find the stillness, hold the stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here today with you to share some reflections on the theme of cultivating patience. And I want to thank Maria Cecilia for inviting me. Thank you, Maria. And Mike Hoffman for his ongoing excellent guidance and support throughout the whole process. And thank you for the lovely introduction, Mike. The quality of patience is considered one of the essential attitudes in the practice of mindfulness meditation. An attitude that is necessary in cultivating the ground upon which mindfulness can develop. I'd like to begin with a brief arriving meditation that is intended to consciously invite in an embodied sense of patience, to allow us to land and settle perhaps a bit more patiently here together in our shared Zoom space, and also more fully in our own actual space. So if this feels right, allowing yourself to fully land in the space you now occupy. See how you naturally do this. Arriving, settling into the space into the moment, perhaps noticing the sense of contact you make with the chair, perhaps noticing the contact your hands make with each other or with a part of your body. Perhaps noticing the quality of mind in this moment, without any judgment, just some curiosity, noticing what thoughts are present with you right now. Maybe bringing attention to the heart space and noticing whatever feelings might be present right now, if any. A simple, friendly noticing of where you are in this moment, not changing anything, allowing everything just as it is, breathing with it naturally, just taking your time to settle. And as you are ready, we can all take a couple of somewhat deeper breaths, bringing in more oxygen for wakefulness, and exhaling slowly, allowing a sense of relaxation. Taking a moment here just to notice how you are feeling right now before we move on. I love the quote from Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching, and it often comes to mind as I sit down to meditate, as well as when I begin guiding meditations. Do you have the patience to wait till your mind, till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? This quote is a reminder to myself to pause, to arrive, to just sit, to be observant, to be patient, and certainly to allow the mud to settle. And there's usually quite a lot of mud. Do you find this to be so? I know for me, so many thoughts, emotions, reactions, desires that come and go through the mind, muddying the mind, and the heart as well. We've been through such a particularly challenging time, as Mike has mentioned, and this week, of course, particularly challenging. In the midst of so much uncertainty, how to allow the mud to settle, how to not get caught up in a spiral of reactivity, how to not rush on an impulse to a conclusion, rush with an opinion, rush to fix before even actually seeing what it is that might require an action. Do you have the patience to allow your mud to settle, for the water to clear? I was moved to spend some time reflecting on patience this month, and certainly this past week. And I thought we could look together at the definition. Patience includes the quality of endurance under difficult circumstances, persevering in the face of provocation without reacting with disrespect, annoyance, or anger, forbearance when under strain, and being steadfast. In the Pali language, which is the ancient language of the early Buddhist canons, the word for patience also includes the capacity for forgiveness, not returning harm. It's the opposite of anger. I thought this was interesting. In this definition, patience is considered an act of kindness toward ourselves as well as toward others. And it gives rise to equanimity, the sublime state of mind that leads to peace and well-being. In psychology, patience also involves developing the capacity for delay and to bear uncomfortable feelings and urges. developing the capacity for delay. And for delay in childhood, this is a time it's usually developed. It's almost a lost art in our instantaneous world. It has great implications for well-being and success in later life. You may be familiar with the well-known Stanford University marshmallow experiment that was done in 1972, where each child was offered a choice between one immediate marshmallow or two if they waited for a period of time. The child was then left alone in the room with the single marshmallow placed right in front within reach and filmed for 15 minutes. We can see from the video the significant struggle each child faced while trying to restrain the impulse for the marshmallow. It shows us vividly the degree of internal work that goes into the capacity for patient delay. We can see the struggle, the reaching for the marshmallow and the pulling back and the reaching and the pulling back, the facial expressions of struggling. Some kids took just one single bite, hoping it wouldn't be noticed. It's well worth watching this on YouTube, and you can easily find it by Googling Stanford University marshmallow experiment. I think we adults too can identify with this struggle. From the outside, patience may look like inertia or even laziness, but internally, there's a strong, active dynamic going on. And I'm sure most of you know this from your own experience when you're feeling some temptation or a desire to react impulsively. And while we may think of patience as being slow, it's not mainly about speed. A quick movement can contain within it the culmination of much patience, much endurance and forbearance. It can be quite mindful. There's an expression that some people like and have found helpful. Hasten slowly. While patience is not mainly about speed, it is about time. Time, timing, and aligning with the way things are, with nature. This is the wisdom element inherent in patience. The wisdom to know that things unfold in their own time. I love this. And we all know this. Anyone who gardens knows this. Anyone who does any kind of practice, any study, any sports, anything creative, music, dance, all require a deep knowing about patience and timing. Nature does not hurry, and yet everything is accomplished. Again, this is Lao Tzu. We are so obsessed with the idea of speed, the need to get there and to do it even faster. So staying in the flow of time, as nature does, involves an active allowing of what is actually happening, a turning toward what is happening, being with it. A good metaphor is that of water, going with the flow of the current, not pushing it along. Well, how could we? And not fighting against it, but being patient long enough to see the situation clearly, to wait till the water is clear. So in short, patience involves a capacity for delay, to allow things to be as they are, and this includes ourselves, and a wisdom factor about timing. I'd like to do a brief reflection together now. Perhaps you have a memory of a time when you were right in the flow of an experience, moving right along with it, patient. How was that? Now perhaps you can recall an experience when you were not in the flow, when you were in some way fighting against it, wanting something too quickly, feeling impatient. What do you notice? How does that feel? We can intuit and understand some of the internal dynamics of establishing patience within ourselves from our own experience of noticing our impatience. We may notice triggers of impatience can be very slight, like, for example, the coffee not being ready when you want it in the morning, or waiting for the computer to turn on, or if something of greatest significance, even profound, waiting, wanting a partner, a child, a friend to act a certain way, feeling stuck, listening to someone whose beliefs are different, wanting to get results back from an important medical test, waiting for a vaccine, waiting for the president-elect to take office. Impatience can feel like an irritation, an annoyance, an anger, an urgency, a tension, a tightness. Usually it involves not liking something, wanting it to be different and not being able to change it. Consider what triggers impatience for you. Perhaps something slight, even this morning. In what way do you notice it? Do you notice it in your mind via thoughts? In your heart via feelings? Do you notice it in the body via sensation? I became acutely aware of my own impatience by noticing my body posture when sitting. Actually, I was sitting in meditation, and I was ever so slightly leaning forward, as if into the next moment. I was not sitting fully, squarely in the moment I was in. And also my body was tight. It was tense. It was not relaxed. Patience is always being challenged by our fast-paced, get-it-done-now world. There's a natural momentum towards impatience, a tendency to react without pausing, some reactivity. That's the catch that can throw us off balance, reactivity. Sometimes we simply need to reside in the mystery of not knowing and being okay with that, not knowing, not rushing and waiting, allowing the mud to settle and waiting till the right action arises by itself. To end, I would like to say that I have found the practice of cultivating patience to be a deeply spiritual practice. Over this past month, as I've been contemplating patience for this talk, I was more consciously remembering patience in the midst of all experiences. And this has helped keep my mind somewhat more balanced. My sense of things unfolding in a natural and organic way has deepened. When the well-known Tibetan Buddhist teacher Trungpa Rinpoche was asked, where does grace fit into the Buddhist tradition? He replied simply, grace is patience. Grace is patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Part of each service is the spiritual practice of generosity, with a collection which asks for the financial support of this fellowship and which we share with a local organization working for social justice. This month's recipient of our collections is Bethel Hobbs Community Farm. The farm sits on 11 acres of farmland in Suffolk County. It is a volunteer-based ministry which has come alongside the Bethel AME Church to provide fresh, wholesome produce to those in need through a network of local food pantries and soup kitchens. Hobbs Farm is the last farm in Centereach, as well as the last African-American family farm on Long Island. The vision of the Hobbs Community Farm is to restore the land to its original use, create a permanent retreat and education center on site, and to honor the Hobbs family legacy. Even though COVID pandemic is keeping us from being together in our sanctuary and passing the collection plate, please remember to keep sending in your pledge payments and to support our social justice partners. As you all know, the need now is especially urgent. Instructions for sending in your contributions are on the screen, as well as our website in that handy donate button. Please remember to designate on the memo line of your payments how you want your contributions directed. Our offertory today is Meditation on Breathing, led by Bethany Riddle, Melissa and Jessica Pond, and Dan Weymouth. The photo you will see during this song is by our own Sylvia Kirk. Please sing along and choose any of the parts to blend in. Thank you, guys. I'd like to thank Dr. Cheryl Kurash for providing a centering, relaxing, and inspiring talk. Also, thanks to all the musicians this morning. Please stay after the service for our social time so we can see and hear each other. After that, we encourage you to leave this meeting and join a small group chat for a more intimate discussion using the link provided on our website or special news feed. For our final hymn, please join Bethany, Melissa, Jessica, and Dan for hymn number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. Please sing along.
We search for truth, equality, and pleasure.
Yes, to question is truly an answer. As I extinguish our chalice, I will say these words which are adapted from those by Becky Laurent. As flame is to spirit, so spirit is to breath, and breath to song. Though we now extinguish this flame, may we tend it in our hearts until we meet again.
Our closing words are by Richard S. Gilbert. As we leave this community of the Spirit, may we remember the difficult lesson that each day offers more things than we can do. May we do what needs to be done, postpone what does not, and be at peace with what we can be and do. Therefore, may we learn to separate that which matters most and that which matters least of all.
Thank you, Cheryl. Go forth in simplicity. Find and walk the path that leads to compassion and wisdom, that leads to happiness, peace, and ease. So may it be. We now reprise a performance by Alex Lee of Eric Satie's Gymnopédie.